Hi everyone. Today I'm going to read a couple of the journal entries that Mrs. Hay and Mrs. Perot did for their Italian vacations. So for this booklet, I just want to give you an example from each of them. And this is kind of what I'm looking for. In our class chat yesterday, I mentioned that I want you to include history, facts, be specific about what you did that day. So I'm gonna just give you a couple of examples. So hopefully this can give you a little bit more guidelines and some ideas for how you can write your own diary entries. So you'll see that the length, first of all, fills up the whole page. While this isn't necessary, like I didn't give you that many lines so you had to fill them up, I am expecting you to give me lots of good information, so it's going to definitely take more than just the top few lines, for example, right? So here's another one. So do your research, make sure that you are accurate in your research and you're teaching me about the places that you're visiting. So first of all, I will read for you. This is Mrs. Hay's diary entry for Monday. So it says, Day 1. I'm so excited I could hardly sleep. Today, Dawn and I, Mrs. Perot, are headed to the Colosseum and the Sistine Chapel. My first impression of the Colosseum? Awe-inspiring. The sheer size of it is overwhelming. It is also known as the Flavian Amphitheater. It's located in the center of the city and built of travertine limestone, the largest ever built at the time. It held 50,000 to 8,000 spectators. In 1349, there was a great earthquake that caused the outer south side to collapse. Much of the fallen stone was used to build palaces, churches, and hospitals. After a quick lunch, Dawn and I headed to the Sistine Chapel. Located in the Vatican City, it stands on the foundation of an older chapel called Capella Magna. In 1477, Pope Sixtus IV instigated a rebuilding of the chapel, which was then named for him. It is reputedly the dimensions of Solomon's temple in Jerusalem. In 1503, a new pope, Julius II, commanded Michelangelo, I'm sure you've heard of that name, to decorate the chapel. Michelangelo balked as he was a sculptor, not a painter, but the Pope insisted. And then she said the best part of her day, the Colosseum was amazing, to imagine the gladiators and the battles. So I really like this diary entry that Mrs. Hay did because she walked me through some of the major dates and the major facts or information that the Colosseum that happened to it. I really liked how it was in order. She started with her some of the dates back in 1349, and then she talked about 1477, and then she talked about 1503, so it was all in order. It was also interesting to read, right? It wasn't just blah, 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 but it was like, I was so excited to go here with Mrs. Perot. She talked about the earthquake. It was exciting. So there's one example. Okay, now I'm gonna go to Mrs. Perot's diary entry for Wednesday. So on Monday, the ladies were in Rome, obviously. On Wednesday, you'll see that they are in Florence. So they have moved cities. So let's see what they got up to on Wednesday. After a late night on the train, it was difficult to get up for another day of exploring. Our first stop was the Palazzo Pitti and Boboli Gardens in Florence. It is a Renaissance palace where 3 dynasties, or families in brackets, have lived. Part of the palace dates back to 1458 and was home to many rulers of Florence. The Boboli Gardens cover many acres with different kinds of plants and sculptures. The palace was so huge that we didn't have time to see it all. The decor was nothing we have ever seen before. Many high ceilings, paintings, grand staircases, woodwork, and over-the-top chandeliers. Our next stop was the Mercato Centrale, a Florence food market. The iron and glass architecture was erected in 1874. We decided to treat ourselves to the delights of Florence. They had fresh veggies, fruits, fish, and pastries. I could not convince Tanis to try the squid. We really enjoyed the food market and wished we could have stayed longer. So her best part of the day was the Palazzo Pitti and Boboli Gardens for sure, she said. So again, I really like this one as well because she walks me through her day. She talked about this Renaissance palace and all the beautiful architecture. And then she talked about the Boboli Gardens and the plants. And then finally, she talked about the Mercato Central, where they had their delicacies and their foods, and they tried new things. So really great job by Mrs. Hay and Mrs. Perot. Hopefully that gives you a little bit more guidelines for your own diary entries. Again, I'm looking for them to be thorough, accurate, well-researched. Okay? Have a great day.